Alright, hello, I'm back. I promise I won't make this one as unbearably long as the last one. The last few days have been pretty intense emotionally, and like that was my whole reason, I guess, for doing this. And as much as I kind of just want to sleep and not think about all of it, I'm not really doing anybody any favors. Bear with me too, I'm lagging from the IV Benadryl, hence my counteractor warrior there. But I just wanted to update you guys kind of what's going on physically the past few days and mentally where I'm at right now. I will say, just starting with today, physically I've been a little better than last night, but mentally everything just feels like it's crashing down around me. I really think when I came in the hospital, my body went into a, fight or flight response, PTSD related episode, or dissociation, whatever of those things you want to call it, because a lot of my PTSD is from this hospital in particular. So, I was kind of oddly in good spirits and very nonchalantly going about life and doing my best while I'm in here, which I'm still doing my best, but it didn't even seem like, it was almost bothering me that I couldn't cry or be emotional about my life, because I knew I needed that release. And yet, even though it wanted to protect me, my mind was preventing me from having that release, even if that's just crying or being honest, talking to somebody. I think my head just kind of shut down, which isn't unusual for me with the amount of trauma I've gone through here. There have been times when doctors walk in the room and I completely zone out, and it's all just a matter of, buildup of really horrible, instances and situations, and or, in the case of my doctors, different people not believing me. And I think, immediately your body wants to protect you, and so it kind of closes that door. I think that's what happened there. But I want to say, like a day and a half ago, I think the door started to open, and now, the waves are just like flooding through, and I can't control the crying. I'm crying over every little thing. Things I haven't thought about in years are popping up in my head. It's, I don't know where I read that, but like it's like feeling the first time you actually feel time. You feel time passing like it's something tangible. And that's how I feel right now. I'm hyper aware of, time at all times a day, and not just time, but it's like this, I'm struggling because I get so drowsy and so out of it from the Benadryl, and yet I in my head feel incredibly pressured to be productive. And that's always been an issue for me in the hospital, but it has been, I guess multiplied like 10 times in terms of intensity ever since my prognosis. So I think my mind is just like, oh my God, you cannot waste 1 second. Even if you're in the hospital, you better be educating yourself, you better be reading, you better be drawing, you better be writing, you better be helping, you know, my stupid head thinks that apparently I need to save the world while I'm in the hospital. Like, Ariel, relax and focus on yourself. I have to tell myself that. Like, I have to say it out loud. Sometimes I do, you know, sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm like, Ariel, you know, like, you need yourself before you can do any of that. And I'm still so shitty at it. And, you know, there's a couple of my close friends in particular who know exactly what I'm talking about in terms of just digging myself my own grave, in terms of tending to other people or tending to too many projects at once and just burying myself in stress, because I'm so uncomfortable when I'm not doing anything. I don't do well at all. That's why I've never been able to like watch TV. I've never, even as a kid actually, my mom tells me all the time, you know, you wouldn't watch movies as a kid, you wouldn't watch TV. You always were much rather be drawing and anything like that. I think it's something that was deeply, deeply ingrained. If not like some form of, I don't know, like biological makeup. It's just in my character, and it is really difficult to change that pattern, especially when there is now this added pressure. I mean, there's always added pressure. I mean, there's always the pressure of like, okay, all of us realistically could die tomorrow, and I know that, but I also get really pissed off when people tell that to me, and I know they mean well, but if death is, you know, if, you know, universal shit show random deaths are that equalizer, then when you have a terminal illness on top of that, it is no longer equal. You know, it's not that complicated, but I feel like it's not something that able people in particular think about because they don't have to. And, you know, I wouldn't wish this on anybody. I wouldn't want anybody to have to think about that. But it is frustrating because it's not, you know, I think they want to relate to me sometimes. Like, I think people want to offer a sense of solidarity. Like, well, you know, I could die tomorrow too, but, you know, we just got to do the best we can. And, well, you know, the second half of that is great. I always do the best I can. It's not the same, because I could also die tomorrow from a car crash, but I'm also actively dying from an illness. So it's not comparable. And I guess that frustration has been really in the forefront of my mind lately. It's just something that's been coming up a lot in conversations here. A lot of the nurses know me, and having to update everybody on what's going on, and then, you know, receiving these different responses is, you know, tiring at times. But anyway, back to my health. I got some results back in terms of the testing they did when I came in. My white blood count was 19. A white blood cell count, was 19, which is really pretty high indicator of infection. And my neutrophils were also pretty high number-wise, which specifically for CF infections is also a significant indicator. So after I saw that, I was pretty confident, like, yeah, the second this sputum culture goes through, like, something will grow. Yeah, that's really cute, I know. Something's gonna blossom from my mucus, and it's gonna be beautiful, and then we're gonna kill it, and then it's gonna come back in like a month. But yeah, that's exactly what kind of happens. So I did grow bacterial infection, so I'm not in here for no reason. As you know, before, for many years, right after being diagnosed, I think the first like 5 years of me having CF, I did not grow a single bacterial infection, but that did not stop me from getting hospitalized. Like, I was still very, very ill, and I would get the same symptoms I have now, but there was just nothing in the sputum that would show up when they tested it. And so it was really frustrating because, they didn't really know how to treat it. If an infection doesn't show up, it's kind of just a guessing game of, what's gonna work and what isn't. And unfortunately, that's where I discovered all my allergies, because we tried so many different antibiotics because we didn't know what we were dealing with. So we were like, let's try this. Okay, you're allergic to that. Next time we're gonna try this, you're allergic to that. And now, lo and behold, I am allergic to, I think, somewhere around 9 different commonly used antibiotics for specifically CF. Which also I kind of want to point out too is a big concern of mine in this entire situation, because I think a lot of people are out here thinking, if I can make it a year, if I can make it to, transplant, then like everything is gonna be good. And well, I'm, gonna keep the faith there to try to make it that way. There also are stipulations that people aren't really familiar with. And I think, in the past 2 years, I've been deemed too healthy for a transplant, based off of testing, based off of, just different factors that they all kind of gather. And then as a team, they decide whether or not that you qualify to be listed. Obviously, you guys know that. Why else would I be in this entire situation if, because clearly I don't qualify anymore for other reasons outside of that. But yeah, but I guess a big fear of mine now is, so what? Maybe I do survive the year. However, given the level of decline, even if I'm alive, I'm likely going to be completely bedridden and likely, like, almost guaranteed too sick to undergo a transplant. Because there's things from even as simple as, going under anesthesia that are big factors for, anyone really going under a lung transplant or any CF patient. They already worry about this with me, not with anesthesia, but just with different medications. They are very weary about how many sedatives or, benzos, fucking Benadryl, don't get me started on that, but basically all those depressants that can slow your heart rate, slow everything in your body down a bit. And essentially, if you don't have enough lung function, if you don't have enough energy in your body, it can be extremely dangerous to go under general, because you may not be getting enough oxygen, you may not be able to have the capacity to actually breathe enough. So there's a decent chance that I wouldn't qualify for that reason. Outside of that, I'm trying to think. So infection, the antibiotic I'm on is good for that. So fingers crossed that it helps. My white blood count. Oh my God, I cannot talk. Sorry. Brain fog and Benadryl together, and also just the fact that I've been sobbing all day, it's not going well for communication, but this is the reality of it. So my white blood cell count has been slowly decreasing, and then I think it went up once, but then I went back down. It is still pretty significantly high, and it's gonna take a while. Like I said, for those who don't know me, like CF hospital stays for cleanouts are typically, well, okay, they'll tell you, between 10 and 14 days. However, for me, it's usually more of 14 and 21. I used to be in that 10-day mark. I was in that for a long time in high school. 10 days would do it and I could get out. It's great. Now I am like jumping for joy if I'm out at 14. So, especially this time, because of how sick I am, I'm still on 4 liters. We haven't been able to decrease that. We actually had to increase my oxygen after they tried to decrease it because I was just too sick, and every time I went into coughing jags, I was still having these symptoms. My vision blacks out, I get really weak, all these things. So we are still sitting at 4 liters, which isn't the worst I've been on, but it's also not the best and not where I want to be, considering although I do have oxygen at home, I try not to rely on it. I'm really not doing much different other than just doing the treatments every day, IV antibiotics, meeting with the team. You meet with the doctors like every single day, or whoever is rounding, and that's kind of, there's not really much else right now. I think they do plan on testing my lung function early this week, just to gauge where we are, so then hopefully we can see some improvement before I leave. But I haven't done that yet. I will definitely update you guys when I do, because PFTs are just, oh God, they're so stressful. They are so stressful. But yeah, my CF though got a bit worse actually, and I'm hoping it's like one of those things, where it gets worse before it gets better. But I'm not gonna lie, it's really frustrating because I came in here feeling like shit, and now I'm still feeling like shit, but I'm feeling like shit even more than I felt like shit before. So it's just been, these non-stop coughing jags that have been absolutely brutal, like absolutely brutal on several parts of my body, my muscles. I always joke about my friend, joke with my friends that, I have like these rock hard abs, right, from coughing, but I'm not joking. Any definition lines there are strictly from coughing, because I think we all know I cannot exercise to save my life right now. But there's that, and it all like goes together. It's like then you get a headache, and then it's you get tachycardia from over exerting yourself while you're coughing, and so then because of the tachycardia, you end up with a headache, and it's just nonstop. Yeah, and I'm wiped out. Like the past 3 days in particular have just been brutal in that sense, especially at night. Especially the evening, for whatever reason, starts to just show show itself more, and I am I'm just at the point right now where I'm getting so tired and I'm just exhausted. Like, exhausted isn't even enough. Like, I feel like something has completely drained my body, and I don't know. Like, I wake up every morning and it's this very odd feeling, and I know I kind of posted about it, but I truly don't understand how I'm supposed to, there's no instruction manual on like how to adjust when you're told at age 23 that you could die in the next year or two or whatever, die, very young. And my doctors frankly are ignoring it here, which is not helpful either. I think it's like some people don't want to talk about it and think that they're helping because they think I don't want to talk about it. And it's not that I like talking about it, but I also would appreciate like the validation from a medical professional, especially who's taking care of me for a longer period of time than those in Cleveland and the ones who are actually here every single time I'm in the hospital. None of them knew what happened. When I told them, they all kind of looked at me like a deer with, in headlights, and they were like, I'm sorry. And then it was like, okay, change the subject. And I'm like, I can't change the subject. Like, I don't know, they expect. It's just been really weird. Like this whole stay in itself has been very odd. Having to share this news with people has been a very weird, humbling, and uncomfortable simultaneously experience. I think online it's like I see all this really beautiful support from so many different people from all over the world, which is just really blows my mind away, more than I can, truly explain right now. But it's this beautiful gathering, this beautiful collective empathy, and it's hard to find that these days. So I think as ugly as this disease is and as ugly as this situation can be, it did really bring out and kind of prove like, look, there's light. There are people who have good, bright hearts. There are good people who aren't doing things for selfish reasons. There are people that care about me. And when I say me, I mean truly myself, not, using me as, what the disabled community likes to call like inspiration porn or their own entertainment, I guess, which obviously still is happening 100%, but I try not to focus on those people. I try to focus on the really beautiful people who found me through one way or another, from all the beautiful souls too who have decided to share this and pass it around and just kind of offer that space for me, and even just 1 minute of their life, like that means something. So yeah, I don't know. As of now, the plan is just to kind of continue what we've been doing. I haven't been here for a week yet, so we're not really even halfway there. I don't see any changes, occurring unless something happens, which we're never going to rule that out because I tend to be very special, as they like to say, and everything loves to go haywire with me. But I I'm just gonna try my best to focus, really, 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 really focus on myself. And so I'm sorry if communication falls through a bit. I'm sorry if there's too much communication with some people and then zero with other people. It's really difficult to navigate this right now. And, you know, sometimes it's just a matter of I need to talk to somebody who I know right off the bat understands this. And obviously I'm in a unique position. So that rules out a lot of people, even some of my closest friends, and that doesn't mean anything against them. It just means I need, you know, support that is relatable, support that, you know, another person can provide from firsthand experience, not just, you know, on the outside looking in, because it's really a different ballgame. And as much as, you know, I adore her to pieces, my mother, I think, struggles with this because she's obviously been right at my side the entirety of my life and the entirety of me getting diagnosed and getting sick and every single hospital stay. So I think you know, it's not just, if you've felt like I've been absent, I truly, truly don't take it personally, because I have not been able to tend to a lot of things right now. And yeah, it's like, I know I'm online, I know people see that. I know the frustration of, you know, trying to get a hold of somebody and then being online, and then you're like, oh, but they can't text me back. And that, I've been annoyed at people for that. I will, you know, be the first to say that. That's not, I get it. It's annoying sometimes. But I do want to just say that genuinely from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate every single person who has reached out. And I know my answers have been short, but I've tried to at least acknowledge that I saw them. So I hope you know, if you write me, you know, I will read it 100%. It just might be a minute before I get back. And I think that's really all. I mean, I could go into more depth of emotionally where I'm at, but it's all there really is to say about that is truly, I think, the biggest part of it all is the gymnastics you have to do in your head to go from living with a chronic terminal illness and thinking, you know, maybe even, you know, you like have a little ego almost, because you're like, oh, because I have this illness, like, I'm not afraid of death, and I think about it all the time, so I'm not like everybody else. I'm not going to be afraid when I die, and I'm not going to be afraid of death and mortality, and none of that phases me. And it doesn't faze you until it is said out loud in relation to your own life. Even if you knew in the back of your head, like, one day this is going to happen, I don't think you can ever truly, truly prepare, you know, for that moment. And not everyone is going to ever have that moment, thank God. But I just thought I would put that out there, because I think a lot of people, you know, look at like cancer patients and they get a prognosis, and, you know, it's their family members, and everyone knows they're dying. Everyone knows they only have a few months left. And so, you know, they think, if I do this, if I spend all this quality time with this person, if we make the most of it, And all of that is wonderful, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing in here. You know, it's why I decorate my room. It's why I read my favorite books and listen to my music and dance even though I can't dance, and, you know, try my absolute best to just still be living, like actually living, you know, while in the hospital. But I think nothing ever, it's like there's no way around it. There's no way around it. You can't cheat it. You really can't. No matter how hard you try, no matter like how smart and intellectual and hard ass you think you are, it's gonna be fucking terrifying if you get this told, if you get news like that, you know? And I'll be the first to say, you know, like, I thought, especially having been somebody who quite literally tried to kill myself, I thought, you know, like, there's no way I'm gonna be afraid of this. Like, at one point I wanted this, you know, like, it's so screwed up. But then it's like the second it's taken away outside of your own control, that's when you're like, fuck, you know, and you're like grasping and you're trying to reach for it and you're trying to hold on, and it's just, you know, it's like this game of tug of war, and you're absolutely just, your feet are sliding and you're terrified and you don't know what's gonna happen and who's gonna give out first, and it's just really, really difficult to wrap my head around. But I think the best thing I can do, and the best thing I have been doing, and, you know, I think those who have encouraged me to do this, because as much as I, you know, preach it, I'm terrible at taking care of myself. And I think by doing that, you know, by being gentle with myself, by, you know, doing self-care, and by self-care I do not mean, you know, just the bullshit like get my nails done and like go shopping and that, you know, like self-care is, you know, really reflecting on the connection between your mind and your body and what you can do about that, like what that looks like, how you feel about that, and then, you know, where you go with that. Because it's not just, I think self-care gets portrayed as like this just very like commercial thing now. It's not really about the internal work anymore. So when I do refer to self-care, I mean, yes, please do go and, you know, hell, buy a Squishmallow at Target while you're at it, but like also perform real self-care. I'm talking about feeding yourself. I'm talking about sleeping. I'm talking about actually reaching out when you need help. And I say all this to remind myself because I'm having trouble eating and sleeping and reaching out right now. You know, this is the truth, I am. So I think honoring that and trying to then also be proud of yourself and reward yourself mentally for taking those steps is really big, because when you're, you know, very much trapped, anything even minuscule that you can do to yourself that makes you more comfortable is absolutely worth it. Absolutely. And I guess that's where I think I'm gonna leave things today. I think that's a good point. I think that's something I'm gonna reflect on tonight and try to get some sleep, even though it's impossible in the hospital. But I hope, you know, if anybody watched this, I hope somebody got something out of it, and I really appreciate the feedback and just the fact that you guys have taken the time to sit down and like listen to me absolutely ramble about who knows what. I feel like I'm going in circles half the time. Like, I don't prepare this shit. I think maybe the first video I wrote down a few notes, but the rest I'm just like going off the cuff. So I just want to say thank you, because the messages I've received, you know, I watched your video and I'm like, that's 45 minutes of somebody's life. You know? And again, like, I'm feeling time right now. Like, time is tangible to me, and I'm like, that is 45 minutes of my bullshit, you know? Like, God, I feel lucky, but feel super lucky to have the support that the little online whole entire world universe community has shown me. So yes, until next time.